everybody, and welcome to Lights Out with Johnny Roberts. Glad you're with us. Coming up on the show today, we have former champion Greg Biffle's going to be with us, and also Christian Eckes, who is tearing up the truck series right now, is going to tell us what it's like to absolutely dominate a race in one of NASCAR's three top series. One of the hot topics, of course, this week is the last lap at Chicago after the checkered flag had fallen. On the cool-down lap, Bubba Wallace ran into race winner Alex Bowman. Now, that is obviously frowned upon by NASCAR, and Bubba was hit with a $50,000 fine. Now, when you look at that, you see some consistency, I'm sure, in past fines for similar offenses. But one point you have to make, although there's been a lot of clamoring and an outcry for NASCAR to be completely consistent across the board when it comes to fines and points penalties. If we can go back a little ways and quote our good friend Robin Pemberton, a former vice president of competition for NASCAR, he said, and he said it very well, he said the reason that the points penalties are sometimes not consistent is that the infractions are not consistent. Things are different on the racetrack, and the infractions are different. Therefore, NASCAR needs to have somewhat of an open window to adjust them. Now, there are guidelines right now. There's levels of penalties, and you do see the consistency, but I firmly believe NASCAR still needs to have a little bit of room to adjust penalties to make sure they fit the crimes. I want to welcome in the Biff, NASCAR champion. Hey, Greg, first of all, we appreciate you taking time in your travels to join us on this, but the hot topic right now is that cool-down lap. Bubba Wallace just got hit with a pretty big fine. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the thing after the race, and, it's, I was thinking there was going to be a fine coming. I just wasn't sure what they were going to do. But I think some of the factors are his window net was down, his hand was out of the window, and he ran into the wall. So I think NASCAR took those factors involved. If he would have came up, I think it's a different discussion. If he sideswiped him a little bit, gave him a bump on the door, put a tire mark on him. I think the particular situation with the window net down, his hand out, waving at the fans, and then getting run into the wall, which Bubba may not have meant to do that. He's just expressing his displeasure. I get that. I think that may have been the determining factor, so to speak.
Hey, so Biff, one thing I love to see is the fact that past champions like yourself are able to leave the sport under their own volition when they want to at the top of their game. You were able to do that. As you see some of these drivers right now, like Martin Truex, leaving at that point, how difficult was that for you as a driver to make that decision? But also, by the same token, how much are you enjoying life these days, doing your own thing?
It was a very difficult decision. In fact, I had 1 year left on my contract when I decided that the matchup for us was just not there. And I always said to myself, when we're not competitive, when we're not winning races, and I don't have a car that can win races, whatever the circumstance is, that was going to be the time I exited the sport. And I'll tell you, it was a very, very difficult decision. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. And I kept telling myself, this next year will be better. Next week will be better. Next quarter, we've found some downforce, and we found some speed, and we've got an updated front clip, a rear frame section. And it just never came to fruition for us. And the writing was on the wall. I mean, and I tried to get released in time there were several other opportunities. And it just got drug out. And so I had to make the decision. Do I actually sit out, or do I come back and drive those cars again, knowing that the result probably won't be different in the next year? So I just made the decision at that point that I was going to do something different. Take a year off, see what life's about. And I'm glad I did.
You know, it's funny when people look at a race car driver or the preacher or the baseball pitcher, they think you only work once once every 7 days. I remember you told me, Greg, and I was listening, that that's just simply not the case. As a driver at the top level of racing, that you think about the race car 24/7 when you're awake and also when you're sleeping. You think about how to make it faster, and you guys are constantly working, doing appearances, and doing simulation. This is not a passive job as a race car driver, is it?
No, it's not. And John, you point out some very, very important factors. Is it eats you inside as a person because you know what it's like to win. You know how competitive you are. You know how hard you work. You feel like I'm not working hard enough. I need to do more. And when you just absolutely are exhausted from, you know, spending time in the sim, spending time with the team, trying to figure out why the cars aren't as fast as they need to be, and spending time with the sponsor. You're working. You talk to any race car driver, they'll tell you it's harder to run 15th or 20th than it is fifth, and that's because the car's actually doing its job or working with you for you. Um, and so with the lack of performance, it was just killing me inside that I was working as hard as I was without a result, and I just needed to do something different. It was the right time.
You were in a pretty unique position, Greg, over the years. You were the closest guy ever to that Triple Crown, to winning a championship in all three of NASCAR's top series. So I think that puts you in a pretty good position from your standpoint now. I know drivers never really leave racing, it's always in your blood, and you're always looking in. What's your feeling? I know you could probably talk for hours on this, but the state of NASCAR right now, it seems like there's more pairs of eyes on there. The parity is there, and there's like a lot of good stuff going on right now.
Yeah, there really is. I enjoy uh, watching the races. Believe me, I wish that I was out there competing every week still, and any driver feels like they've got the possess the skill and the what it takes to win races and be competitive. But it's exciting to see how competitive it is across the board. Um, any weekend, any one of these guys can win. So I think they've done a great job, and it's exciting to see. I'm glad to see them street racing, but you just want to be out there. I want to be out there. I want to be competing, and there's a lot of great teams.
So, Greg, really quick before we let you go here, I just wanted to say on a personal note, when you were behind the wheel and we were doing the TV thing at the racetrack, man, you were always one of the guys we went to. You always explained things so well to us. I just wanted to say thank you for that. It was great working with you then, and I still love working with you now, brother. Thank you so much for joining us today, man. Safe travels. And again, thanks, Biff.
Thank you, appreciate it. Headed to the Bahamas to catch a big. So I haven't been much this year, so I'm excited about the prospects. So we'll go down, and then of course, 2 weeks I'm racing in Lime Rock, Connecticut. So I'm excited about getting in that Trans Am car.
Awesome, brother. Go get him, Greg. Thank you. Travel safely. Welcome back to Lights Out, everybody, and we want to welcome in your current reigning points leader in the Craftsman Truck Series, Christian Eckes. Christian, thanks for joining us, man. You know, in any given sport, people have those days. You have those days where everything is exactly right. Man, last time out when you guys were in Nashville with the trucks, man, everything was going your way, wasn't it?
Just about. I don't believe in perfect. I think there's always room for improvement, but I would say that's the closest I've ever been to perfection for sure. So it was good to see that. It's good to see what we've been building come to fruition like that. And we got 10 more races to try to go do the same thing.
So far this season, man, it seems like everything is clicking with the wins, the laps led. But, man, this is such a competitive series. I know it must feel like a championship year for you guys, the way you've been running. But I think everybody knows these days, man, you got to keep digging, right? You can't ever rest.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't get stagnant in this sport. regardless of the series. We're racing against a lot of good people that are constantly putting in a lot of effort, and so are we. So we have to match to them plus some on a weekly basis, which can be really challenging. So definitely can't get stale in this sport, and we're doing a good job, I feel like, of trying to bring fast trucks every week and making them even better.
You mentioned what you're building there with that race team. There's major race teams, there's huge race teams, but then there's teams. It seems like these days they're building towards that. Where do you think your race team is right now in terms of being, looked at as one of the super teams? Because certainly winning is one way to go there. But what status do you think your team's at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're at the top. And that's just a testament to what Bill McAnally and everybody here has accomplished. When I first came here in 2022, I think the team had zero top fives and a couple top tens. And then to kind of turn into this powerhouse of not only us succeeding and contending for wins on a weekly basis, but the other three teams as well contending for wins has been a super privilege to be a part of. And very proud of what we've done here for sure.
Christian, I've always loved the truck series. I think it's gone through its peaks and valleys too, and it's really good to see these days how healthy this series really is. And it seems like a while ago there was actually talk, and it wasn't just talk, that there might not be a truck series. How competitive is this from top to bottom, and how far do you see the depth going down of teams that could win on any given week?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the field. I feel like any of our four trucks can win every weekend. Any of the Tricon trucks can win. Any of the Spire trucks can win. That's 10, 12 trucks alone right there, as well as some other teams that are very successful. So it's always going to be a challenge to win in any of the NASCAR top three series. But it's very challenging right now to do this because of the commitment from these other teams as well. Like I touched on earlier, we have to match them and to continue building new trucks, trying to find new speed, which can be very challenging. But I feel like we've risen to that challenge and done a really good job this year with that.
Christian, just a moment ago on the show, we talked to former Truck Series champion Greg Biffle, and wanted to make the point that I think some people from the outside looking in might not quite understand the job and the role of a driver in one of NASCAR's three top series. You guys simply do not just show up and drive the truck on the weekends. What's a normal week like for you, and just how busy are you as a driver in one of NASCAR's three top series?
Yeah, very busy for sure. It's kind of nice that it's not a very set schedule, I'd say, but I live. I've been very fortunate. I live about 5 minutes from the shop, which I bought my house, I guess, a couple years ago when I worked at KBM. But now being 5 minutes from the shop, it's kind of something that I could probably never go away from. Just being so close, I can come here 5, 6 times a day or throughout the day, whatever I need to do that. And I like to be really involved. I think that's something that I've had the privilege of being able to do here at McAnally Hilgeman Racing. Just being super involved, and that's been nice to do. But I spend most of my time here. We have a gym here, so I work out in there, and then just kind of do my race prep here as well, and try to be around the team as much as possible.
Yeah, man, we know that teamwork is such a big thing when you look at it and what you have to do. I know people talk about the grind of racing, how difficult this season is, and in NASCAR, it's the longest season in professional sports. But what kind of a difference does it make to a driver and to a team when you can get the results of that work, of those 12-hour work days, of all the prep you have to put in, and you guys go out there and win? That certainly helps the difficulty, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it all worth it for sure. That's what drives us is the winning is a success, and it drives everybody. Obviously, we love to race, but we're here to win, and we're here to dominate. So, to be able to achieve that, especially at Nashville, Martinsville, and Bristol, we've all been we're pretty successful at this year. So, to be able to do that on a consistent basis is our number one goal, and we've been able to do that, and that all comes from a culmination of a lot of hard work.
I think you probably just answered the question, but I'm going to ask it again anyway. How much fun are you having?
I'm having a lot of fun, man. There's been a couple situations I've been in that I wasn't really having fun. But here at McAnally Hilgeman Racing, just my commitment to here, being able to have a lot of control in the things that are happening, makes it a lot of fun, and winning races helps that tremendously for sure. So running well and doing the things we're doing is definitely I'm having more fun than I'm ever had in my career for sure.
Christian, I think so many people talk about a particular driver here and there, and they'll always say, well, he's moving up too quickly, or he's not moving up fast enough, or and I don't believe that there's any set schedule for anybody to move up through the ranks of NASCAR. But from your standpoint, from your planning, are you where you want to be in your career right now in terms of advancing and opening up those eyes and moving up the ranks?
Yeah, I think if you would ask me that question 5 years ago, I'd probably say no. But where I am right now today, I'm very comfortable where I'm at. Winning races. I feel like I'm back in the contention of being a highly touted prospect, I guess you could say. And I haven't been that in the past couple years. So I'm really happy with where I'm at here at McAnally Hillgren Racing. Like I said, I'm having fun, which means a lot to me. But yeah, if you would ask me probably 5 years ago, I'd say I'd be in a different situation than I'm in. But in the same aspect, I'm super grateful for what's happened in my career, the hardships, everything, because it's molded me into what I am today.
Got some interesting tracks coming up here on the rest of the schedule before the playoffs. What do you see in the next couple weeks for you and your team? Are you going to places you like that you think you guys can really prosper?
Yeah, we're in a weird spot, honestly, because we have to go succeed because we're in the hunt for the regular season championship. 40 points is a lot, but it can go away in a week. So we have to bring fast race trucks. We have to succeed, but at the same time, we want to try stuff for the playoffs. So it's kind of a balance between the two. Pocono, we're going with something completely different than we ever have setup wise, and it's kind of the same thing for Richmond and IRP. We just have to go succeed, and our short track program has been strong. So we need solid runs for these next three races to get those bonus points, hopefully win to get more bonus points because they're so crucial once we get into the dog days of the championship round. So that's kind of our number one goal for the next 3 weeks is to have some consistency, but at the same time, we have to get ready for the playoffs and try some stuff so that we can be really productive when we get there.
Well, Christian, you guys over the past couple years have been such a great story in NASCAR, you and your team, and also in the Truck Series as well. Want to say congratulations, man, on the success, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you having me on.
And it's time now for Ward Burton Said It. It was after a race at Bristol, and we all know what a race at Bristol can do to a driver, but also it's pretty rare that someone was, well, vocal about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Ward Burton was not happy with Jr., and he was asked after the race why he threw his heat shield at Jr.'s car, to which Ward answered, "I wish I had something I could have shot through there." So Ward was a little upset with Jr. at the time. I think they've all gone on to be friends after that, but that is what Ward Burton said. Want to say a special thanks to Barry Cantrell at Stillhouse for giving us these great graphics, and thanks to everybody for coming along for the ride on this edition of Lights Out with Johnny Roberts. See you next time.